You are watching Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco on Rider Nation Station, brought to you by these following fine sponsors: Buffalo Wild Wings, Miller's Funeral Home, Eagles Lodge 767, Rabel's Auto Service, Plus One Professionals, Hoglace Equipment Rental, Midway Trailers, American Legion Post 323, Albert Sporting Goods, Family Ideology, Speckman Automotive, Kogi Plumbing and Heating, Spees Chiropractic, Varsity Lanes, Minster Bank, VFW Post 9289, and Quinary Pizzeria.
Hello and welcome to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. I'm your host, Zach Farrell. Each week we bring you local official and St. Mary's Rough Rider alumni Mark Cisco here to talk about some of the clips from the game on Friday night.
Hey, Zach. Good to be here.
Thanks for coming, Mark. First off, wanted to jump in. Always wonder if there's been any new bulletins, anything interesting coming down the pipeline from the state.
Something came out this week about some of the kids you'll see are wearing these long sleeves, we'll call it, that start down here and come up. The sleeves themselves are not illegal, but if they have some sort of coating or there's some rubberized or tacky stuff embedded in that sleeve that would help enhance the grip on the football, those are illegal.
I think we saw those sleeves start in basketball, and it seems like they've come to football.
And certainly those
now
wouldn't be there just for support or anything else, and some of the kids are wearing those, but now we've been directed to take a closer look at those things. And, of course, the coach has to verify before the game that all his players are legally equipped. And those being illegal could cause an issue if we find them during the game and whatnot. Of course, coaches sometimes don't understand or don't get a chance to look at the kids or review everything that mom and dad buy to put on their kids' elbows and stuff like that. So that's something that we'll talk about with the coach this week when we meet him before the game.
But the cutter tacky gloves are still okay?
If they have the right labels on them and are approved and are NOXI approved and National Federation approved, and there's labels in those things, and the coach says that they're fine, we don't check because he's verified that they are. Otherwise, we'd be looking at 100 gloves each game. So we assume that they are, and we move on.
Well, new equipment rules, that's always interesting to talk about. So we're going to jump in. We also had a question that Joe and I actually brought up a couple of times throughout the season, and I keep forgetting to ask you about it, so we wanted to make sure we ask you about it. We're curious about the start time of the game, because there's been a couple times when both teams are standing out there ready to kick off, and we see the officials just continue to watch the clock. I think they're waiting for 7 o'clock to hit. And then also at halftime, there's been a couple times where I think they put 20 minutes on the clock, and then they've put another 3 minutes on the clock.
Yep.
And both teams are standing there waiting, and we've waited like 2 minutes standing there waiting for the clock to end so the kickoff can – does that – I assume it does have to do it, otherwise why would they be doing it?
Well, I'll start with the game time or before the game. 7 o'clock start is normal in Ohio, and normally the timers will set the clock to run down a minute before 7 o'clock. Gives the timers a chance to reset the clock and get the kids lined up, and then we kick off at 7. And, of course, you folks being in the media sometimes have to be our timing commercials, everything else for that 7 o'clock start.
Right.
Now, can we go sooner than that? If it was up to me, yes, we can.
Okay.
I mean, we can cut the time off. If both teams are ready, we could cut the clock off and say, reset it right now, and away we go. And have done that, but it's been a long time since we've done that. So
have there been
possible.
Like a storm forecast and you guys started like an hour early, or is that?
That's all done. That would all be done by the ADs prior to when we ever showed up. I mean, once in a while we will, this season we had a game where we didn't start till 7:30, only because the team was coming from far away and they had bus issues or whatever. So, but we knew about that prior. So, game time before, we could cut the clock off and go if both teams were ready, and that was okay. But a lot of times the administration would be, no, we still have people getting in their seats, so we don't want to do that.
Right.
Halftime, 20 minutes is normal in Ohio, with a 3-minute warm-up, and the 20 minutes is dictated by the OHSAA, because in the rule book, the halftime says 15 minutes, but you can extend it another 5. So by OSHA regulation, we've extended it by 5. The 3 minutes is also a federation rule, and it's for teams to warm up. So the teams have to be on the field at the end of the halftime, whether it's 15 or 20, and then they have 3 minutes to warm up. Now, they don't have to use the 3 minutes, but it has to run, and it has to run completely.
That makes sense then, because that's what we've seen.
It's a legalistic, we're giving your kids a chance to warm up, and if they don't take advantage, it's on them. But if we cut it off, and then I'm going to be facetious here. Little Johnny gets hurt. There's always somebody out there that wants to file suit.
Right.
And that's what that's all about.
So then it becomes the officials and the state's problem for not giving them enough time to warm up.
So we tell the timers, look, put the 20 minutes up, run it, and then put the 3 up, and run it completely out. Don't cut it off, because if you do, we're going to stand there until we get 3 minutes done.
So just another aspect of life that I wasn't expecting to say blame the lawyers.
When you and I played, when I played, it was 15 minutes. That's all you got. You went out and you played.
Right.
Right? You were out there, you warmed up, and good. But then they went to the 15 or 20, now it's 20, and then the 3. So, it just lengthens the game a little bit.
Who makes the decision to go from 15 to 20? Is that?
Well, the rule book says 15 is standard. So, but the rule book also says that you can extend the time or the halftime.
Is that the
5 minutes.
official or the ADs?
No, that's going to be the home schools. But in Ohio, it's the OHSAA that has deemed it to be 20 minutes.
Okay.
It used to be that's the ADs would have that discretion. They'd have to let the visiting team know and everything else. But the OSHA took that out of play and said, we're just going to 20, and then we're going to 3. And of course, the bands have their time, and some of them will take that long.
Right.
And it's fine. I mean, those kids work hard too each week as well. So there you go.
Well, we're going to jump right into the clips, Mark.
All right.
There's a lot of interesting clips. This first one was an onside kick, very well executed by St. Mary's. You're going to see the kicker, Jace Schaefer, roll the ball forward and actually pick it up himself 10 yards down the field.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't really easy to see on the side view, but from this end zone view, you can see, and it was very obvious from us up in the
that it went 10 yards
box
and
that
he
it
picked
went
up
10
after
yards.
It went 10 yards,
And then he also tried to run it back.
Yeah, we can't do that.
We've learned that you cannot run the ball back once it's recovered. So, I guess just as an official, you're looking for the 10 yards. Are you just supposed to try to look at both the 10 yards and who's recovering the ball at the same time?
That's a train wreck at the 10 yards. The ball must go 10 yards and it must touch the ground in any order, okay? And of course he kicked it right off the tee, it touched the ground. Now we just got to wait till it to go 10. And what happens there is now the kicking team cannot go block the receiving team until the ball has gone 10 yards. Or until the receiving team comes up and maybe initiates the block. Then we're fine there. In that case there, from the end zone view, it looks like the Van Wert kids, they stood back and waited for the ball to go 10. And the kicking team, they timed it just right.
Right.
Got it when it went 10, and it's fully their ball. So it's a lot of times that's a train wreck. All kinds of things happen.
Right.
It's something like that.
This next play was a reverse pass attempted by St. Mary's, and just wanted to talk about the rules and the dynamics on that. So we have a backwards, I think it was a toss, and then a backwards handoff to the wideout coming back across, and then an attempted pass downfield.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. He takes the ball and then they snap it and pitches it back, looks like then a hand block, so there's no problem with any of that. You can hand the ball backwards, pitch it backwards, any place, anywhere on the field, and then just one forward pass. You cannot throw the ball forward twice in the same down. So,
and we talked about that. You can throw the ball backwards as many times as you want.
They could have threw it back all the way back to the goal line if they'd have wanted to,
right,
and worked it out. But yeah, pitch, handoff, all backwards. The running back there that received the pitch could have handed it forward to the running back coming around because they were behind the line of scrimmage.
Okay, that's a good point.
So he doesn't have to hand it backwards there. If they were beyond the line of scrimmage, then any ball that's handed must be handed backwards.
This next play, Mark, was just an offsides on the kickoff called on Van Wert.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting because I feel like we see it a lot, but it doesn't get called very often.
You're right there. Yeah.
On the left side, I think it's basically the players 3 over and 4 over from the ball that just get way too far down the field, I guess.
Yeah,
it's hard to see from
without a sideline view. For us as officials, some of us will really make that obvious before we're going to call that. But as we've seen in some clips, it can be really subtle, and our boss wants to treat the kickoff line, that line there, as a plane of glass. So even if you're leaning over, he wants that called.
Is that something that they may have warned him about on a previous kickoff?
It's possible. It's possible they may have said something, but I've learned over the years that you can warn all you want, and then the next time we just forget about it and we step over. And kids are kids,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be a different person each time. So it's not anything that you can predict.
This next call was an offsides call. I get offsides and encroachment.
Encroachment?
Encroachment call against Shawnee, or against Van Wert on the extra point.
Yeah, somebody must have been in the neutral zone or jumped across or
I think that
something.
the player on the end there sort of creeps
over, and
yeah.
he
ended up blocking later in the game. So
just jumps the gun a little bit there, and they flagged it. They got it. So yeah, that's not a problem.
Now, what was interesting was St. Mary's actually declined the penalty.
Sure.
And they wanted to keep we talked to Coach Bo Fry about it. They wanted to keep the angle that they had back and where they're comfortable snapping.
A lot of teams will do
it.
that. Yeah, they practice that like 100 times during the season. They can decline. Actually, what he was doing was declining the yardage. Okay. So you can decline yardage anytime, any foul whatsoever.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
So you can decline.
So he accepted the penalty, so he was able to re-kick, but he declined the
yardage.
yardage.
And it was a dead ball foul, so the play never went anyway in theory.
True.
So, and I typically will ask the kids the kicker, look, you guys want to move it up or you want to keep it back here? And 99 times out of 100, they're going to say, we're going to keep it here. Obviously, if they were going to go for 2, they'd have probably moved it ahead half the distance, and they'd have snapped the ball from there. But most times, the kicker and the holder will say, we want to stay right here because we're used to it.
And the good news is that they're able to make that determination, and on the extra point to decide if they want to keep it up there, back there or not. If it would be blocked, it gives them a chance to re-kick it then.
Well,
too.
if it was that dead ball, I mean, as soon as they snapped the ball, we have a dead ball because the defender was encroached and nothing happened. In theory, nothing happened there. Now, what's interesting is though, because of that foul, they could have had the ball moved anywhere between the hashes if they would have wanted to for some odd reason. But again, you're practicing a PAT from the same spot hundreds of times during the year.
Usually one in the center.
So, if Coach would have changed his mind and said, okay, we're going to go for 2, move it ahead half the distance, and now put it over on the left hash, we could do that.
This next clip was a touchdown from Van Wert. Just curious whether he thought it was I think some St. Mary's fans thought it was out of bounds, but it's very close there, right on the edge.
Very close. I mean, he foot, knee, shin. I think he probably got it. I thought that was probably a good call to call that. That's tight over there. Mm-hmm. And we don't have replay, so we can only do what we see on the field. And again, in high school, you only have to have something, a foot, an ankle, something down in bounds to have it count. We don't have to go 2 feet or anything like that.
And that side judge is right there on the line, theoretically.
And the wing guy that was over there, he's looking right down the line, looking at that, and got a big picture because there's nobody in his way. He's got a good view, and I would guess that it's probably a great call.
Yeah. This next play is just a simple false start. Didn't have a ton of penalties, so we got to point out the ones that we have.
Yep.
Now the interesting thing about this was I remember when it happened, we talked. We weren't sure if Sullivan. It does look like the quarterback was sending him in motion, so we thought at first that Sullivan maybe had taken off on accident and was just kept running as part of the play. But
Which
then
would have been fine. What you had there is 77 for St. Mary's. He's leaning, and of course when you see the defender point, that's probably a pretty indication somebody moved. And he did. They pointed right at him. So you got to get that.
Right.
Got to get it.
This next play was probably the most controversial of the game. Right at the end of the half, St. Mary's throws a deep ball, and pass interference is called.
Okay.
We got a couple. No, we don't have it. We just have this angle of it, and I guess you were able to see it.
It looked like we had early contact by the defender. He's got his back turned to him, which isn't necessarily a foul, but it looks like there was early contact. Now, they've taken away the face guarding where you couldn't face guard, throw your hands up in the face. That's all gone away unless you've got contact. But I think here this looks bad because the defender has no idea where the football is, and we've got contact. So I think that's an easy call by the back judge there.
And the receiver's attempting to get back to the ball.
Absolutely.
And the defender's in his way.
Yep.
Later on in the game, we had another onside kick.
Okay.
But this one, unfortunately, did not get far enough.
Okay.
And so I thought it was another example to show just a different version. Attempted to do the same thing, but only went about 8 yards there.
And the ball just died right there. It looks like around 50, and looks like Van Wert picked it up and tried to go with it, which they can. which they can.
Yeah, that was another aspect of it. The player picks the ball up and starts running.
I'm sure the Van Wert coach was cringing at that. He's probably told his kids to get away from it, and if it doesn't go to 10, so kids will be kids.
Yeah.
He thought he picks it up, maybe I can score. Those are linemen normally up there, so that's a lineman's dream to pick up the football and go with it, right?
I guess one question I have on that is if Van Wert decides to not go near the ball and they just let it die at the 8-yard line, does it just get blown dead once it stops moving?
Once it stops moving, It's dead. Yep.
This next play was a quick pass from St. Mary's. I thought it was a good catch, but some of the Van Wert fans thought it was maybe a trapped ball against the ground.
No, you got nothing that's going to indicate. I mean, we're far away from the camera angle here, but you've got 5 sets of eyes or 4 sets of eyes looking at that, and if we don't come up with anything that indicates it was a trap, it's a good catch. Our if in doubt say on a play like that, if in doubt, it's a good catch. And it appears that it might be. Now, did it come loose when he hit the ground or whatever? Possibly, maybe not. But he comes up with the football, and we got the center judge looking at it, the back judge, the umpire, and the wing guy on that side. And he's got the best look because he's looking right, because he's rolling away from him, and the ball is up at him. So I think it's a good call.
Yeah, I think he did a good job of getting his body underneath it when he came down as well. Just unfortunately, another false start by St. Mary's. 77 again, a little bit of a
just kind of jumping the snap count there. Yep.
You like to see your players ready to go, but they need to wait till the count, right?
And it could be the quarterback changed the cadence just a bit or something like that. Who knows? I mean, it is what it is.
This was, I think, a 4th down play from St. Mary's, attempting a pass here on our end, and no pass interference called. But I thought there was kind of significant contact before the ball was there.
Possibly, he's got that left arm out in front, so the hand on the back really isn't an issue because he didn't detect any push in there because the receiver is going to turn, and he's going to turn back towards the ball, and the defender comes up. Yes, he puts his hand on the back, but that's not a foul. And if the defender did not impede the receiver's left arm there and trying to catch the football, then you've got nothing, and you can't tell from this angle.
Right.
But my guess is they both got their hands out. Maybe the defender's has got an arm bar going on the receiver, but we can't tell from.
Well, I think if I remember right, I had the angle from the other side of the view, other side of the field when I was watching it, and the defender did do a nice job of having his left arm fully extended out, so it didn't look like he was holding the back at all. It looked like he was batting the ball down. Yep. So that explains that. Just thought this was interesting. You see here the kicker at the end of the play sort of falls over when the St. Mary's defender touches him. Nothing was called, but I guess a good acting job maybe.
Oh, it is. That's not going to get a call from me either. I mean, no, you're not going to get squat there. That's an Academy Award performance right there. So you don't get squat.
He even throws his arms at the end for good measure.
That's a soccer flop, if you ask me. So.
This was a play with a nice trap run down the field by Aiden Hinkle. Some St. Mary's fans wanted horse collar, but I didn't think it really looked like it at the time because he pulls him forward.
Pulled him forward, didn't pull him down from behind. He didn't buckle the legs. He may have had him. I don't know if he had the jersey or not, but it doesn't matter because we didn't pull him backwards. He threw him down forward. So
we also thought maybe he threw him I remember during the broadcast we thought maybe he threw him by the helmet. But,
which is fine. I mean, if you don't have the fingers inside the helmet openings anywhere, I mean, that's fine. You no horse collar here. Good no call.
And our next clip, jumping back to that real quick, but so if you grab underneath the helmet itself, like in the neck part of the helmet, that's still a face mask?
That is.
Okay.
I mean, yes, it is. Even though you're not grabbing the face mask. Fingers inside the ear hole, underneath the helmet openings,
Basically, your hand has to be flat on the helmet itself for it to be
and
okay.
not wrapped around inside an opening or something like that. Yes,
gotcha.
That's correct.
And you're probably playing with fire anytime you really touch the helmet and pull
and
down with it.
It draws scrutiny from us, sure.
Right.
Yep.
Final play, Mark, this one was called a TD right at the goal line. It's going to be really hard for us to see with this angle, but thought it was an interesting play to look at anyway. Looks like Van Wert audibles into a run, and they give it to their running back, and he sort of gets met at the goal line.
Ooh.
And they called it a touchdown.
That's tight, bad angle for us here.
Yeah.
All the ball has to do is just break that plane. It's like a plane of glass, and if he just the nose just touches it, you've got a touchdown. So Yeah, bad angle for us. The only person that really knows is the wing guy, and we don't have replay, so
Right.
we're stuck with the results.
Well, I figured there were some St. Mary's fans that probably wanted to see it anyway.
Probably.
So. Mark, thank you for joining me this week.
Always a pleasure.
Hopefully you'll be back to watch some clips from our victory up in Shawnee this week.
Let's hope so.
And we'll definitely have the clips for you to come back and see us. So
Good enough.
we'll
Thanks,
be back next week with more rules of the game. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, everyone.
You are watching Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco on Rider Nation Station. Brought to you by these following fine sponsors: Buffalo Wild Wings, Miller's Funeral Home, Eagles Lodge 767, Rabel's Auto Service, Plus One Professionals, Oglaze Equipment Rental, Midway Trailers, American Legion Post 323, Albert Sporting Goods, Family Ideology, Speckman Automotive, Kogi Plumbing and Heating, Speeds Chiropractic, Varsity Lanes, Minster Bank, VFW Post 9289, and Guarneri Pizzeria. Thanks for watching another episode of Rider Nation Station. Help us help you by subscribing on YouTube or following us on Facebook.